Well, when is it within reason to assume that someone is working on us? Okay, so you've exhausted all your options to reason upon why things can be going on in your life the way that they're going. How can we tell if someone or there's some type of force that is causing us grief? We have to look at the situations that occur. Are they random? Are there things that we can actually, or rather I say, are these scenarios and events things that we are responsible for? Example, us driving our car through a green light and then a stray car comes out of nowhere and hit us. We were in the right. We didn't do anything wrong. So we were responsible and on our end. The irresponsible target is the individual who ran the red light and actually hit us. The events that are transpiring, are they events that we have control over, or these are events which we don't have control over? I had a very odd situation which occurred today. And this was a former client of mine's who was actually on a video about 2 years ago. I brought their lover back. Anyhow, this individual came to me with a problem. I haven't spoke to that person in for some time. So the person came back to me with a situation, telling me how their life is falling apart. And this is something that happens with many clients. They get what they want, and then they just feel like forget spirituality. When it's a necessity for clients at times, they want to do the most spiritual things in their life to basically make their life a better place. But now when they receive what they want, they just end up slacking, not caring anymore about spirituality. So this is a scenario which happened with this individual. This person's life went from being up in the air, everything moving for the great, for the better, into this individual losing their place, credit all messed up, bills on top of bills. Every week it was something new. So I said to this client, I said, are you doing some type of spiritual work? Did you pay anyone to do spiritual work? This individual said no. She didn't recall any of that. I said, listen, the person who you're with to this day, do they have any exes that want them back or have had obsessive exes? You know, one thing you have to keep in mind also is when you're reasoning and asking these questions within reason, you can't be afraid to pull back on your questions or either pull back in your thinking, because society will say, don't stereotype, don't prejudge, don't discriminate. Well, some of these faculties are necessary because if you're from the Caribbean, this is something that's very big. So I had to ask this individual, the fact that her lover is Hispanic, I had to ask, did he have any jealous or obsessive past lovers? Because I know in the Caribbean, this stuff is very deep. It's something that's often transpires in the Caribbean community or Latino community, Hispanic community, whatsoever. So this individual tells me that when she got with the individual, there was an incident which occurred, which her boyfriend found a coconut on his doorstep with his picture in there and such. He caught the ex-lover that was doing work on him. So within reason, I had to say to this individual, out of exhausting all options, how is it that I was able to question you about that and there was a scenario that occurred? There was not a doubt. There was not a reasonable doubt that the events that were transpiring with my former client was not related to that event which happened prior to her meeting the individual. Because anyone that has experience doing the line of work that I do, or putting things together the way I do, what I usually tell my clients is this: if anyone tries to come into your relationship, the third party is going to get eliminated. Being that this is so at home to me, I can only reasonably draw the conclusion that it's similar to many of the jobs that I've done for clients, numerous clients. And this individual, I remember when I was doing the work for her to bring her past lover back, there was a guy that was trying to talk to him, and as he was trying to talk to her, a car came out of nowhere and hit this guy. Why? Because that party was trying to intervene into a work that was supposed to keep her and her lover together. So she ends up getting caught in the same scenario where she's dealing with someone that possibly has work on them that was done by a previous ex-lover. I'm not going to go into further discussion about what to do in scenarios like that, because that's a video for another time. But when doing spiritual work, or wondering if someone is doing work on you, you have to use reason, because a reading is not going to tell you everything. A spiritual reading is only going to show you energy. And I'm not talking about bones thrown on the floor. I'm talking about if you're a psychic. A psychic is only going to see the stream of energy, and that's all. Another scenario, before I conclude this video, is people who have bad energy. And sometimes we have to not mistake this with someone who is throwing magie at us. Understanding that people have their own energy, people can have good or bad energy. And when they step into our life, the chaos that their energy brings can affect us. Giving you 2 examples. I remember I was on a construction job years ago. Now, mind you, I was always on point with my cuts. Every time this guy would come around me, I would start to make mistakes. I would make mistakes. You know, it's like the movie Bronx Tale, where Sonny was gambling. He told this guy, "Get away from me, get away from me." You know, he was saying that you're bad luck. Sometimes having negative people around you can affect your prosperity. It can affect your luck. But it's not intentional. These people are not intentionally trying to do that to you. Just by them being in your vicinity, they're bringing chaos into your life. Another scenario. I remember I was in my house, wood floors. This person tells me she's coming over with her best friend. And as she comes over, but as they're on their way over, I'm dancing on the wood floor, and all of a sudden I'm like, I get a splinter in my foot. To me, I took that from a spiritual sense as saying that that person's chaotic energy is coming my way. So by me allowing that person's chaotic energy to come to my way, this is the result that it bore on my life. So with that said, sometimes you have to use the irrational. Sometimes you have to use the rational as well to understand the irrational. And sometimes the irrational is just a reflection of the rational. So with that said, I conclude this video. Thank you guys for watching. Like, share, and subscribe.